Ned's boy.
That's right. He's Ned's son. I think Ned has 2 sons and a daughter.
See, Dennis Setzer going by Terry Labonte, and he brings right along with him Kenny Wallace. Terry's car was so dominant in the race in the spring here, and now you see he seems to be losing the handle as they go 25, 30 laps into the event.
And remember, the 2 drivers at the top of the show that told us their car would work really well on long runs, Kenny Wallace and Ricky Craven. Last caution was here at lap 140. That was 48 laps ago. About 40 of those have been run under green.
I still can't believe that David Green is running as hard as he is running for the championship this way. Of course, like I said earlier, it's a whole lot easier to run easy up front than it is back in the pack. Because he's not using up his car. He's backing off early, and he's not using any brakes and things like that. And so that's what it really takes to win a race here.
So even at a track like this, can you run slower and be faster?
That's the reason I couldn't ever run good here, because I always try too hard.
Now, wait a minute. There is no way to run slower and run faster. You either run faster or slower, but you can't run slower and run faster.
We'll
now,
rephrase that.
Knows that.
We back off earlier and get in the corner more smoother and straighter.
Okay.
And not use the brakes as much.
Well.
And you get on the throttle quicker. This is a racetrack that's really bad on brakes, and that's really, and of course now they have to gear a car a whole lot lower, or they do gear the car a whole lot lower, and I turn a whole lot lower then. And the reason they do that is to save the brakes.
But you know, David, they've made some great gains. Almost, in fact, in the Winston Cup race here in September, the entire field was running carbon metallic pads, performance friction down in South Carolina. The whole field was on them, and nobody had brake problems. So they've come a long way.
They have. That's where Richard Petty.
You ran with those shoe leather brakes way back.
That's what we had.
Yes.
And that's one reason. Another thing, like we was talking about gearing lower and not using so much brake. That's one reason Richard Petty won so many races here. He was smart enough to figure it out that you can run a lower gear during the race than you can qualifying. And so that's one of the reasons.
Well, Mike McLaughlin and the 38 car, you talk about a battle now. They have had one. They've been side by side 3 or 4 times. They slammed into each other 2 or 3 times. I guarantee you, Elton Sawyer's not going to let McLaughlin go anywhere. He's staying right in there with him.
That's 9th place at stake.
You can see the side of McLaughlin's car there. It looks like somebody took a bite out of that door there.
And Sawyer completes the pass, as you see, from underneath the rear bumper of the Ford Credit Ford. Elton Sawyer will be back with that team next year, same sponsor. And Mike McLaughlin will be back for a 2nd year with Team 34.
Well, he had a good run going at Charlotte and had problems there, but he just has really come along. You know, to come into Busch Grand National Race and do as much as that boy has in 1 year, he's going to win a bunch of races before he ends up in Winston Cup.
I think so. Chad Little moves up a few more points as he passes Terry Labonte for 6th place with the Harris Teeter Ford. Look back at Labonte's Chevy as we have 187 of 300 laps complete.
I've been watching Terry Labonte's car. I'm trying to figure out why it's dropping back like it is, because it certainly looks like he goes through the corner pretty well. He may have valve spring problems or something, but he's just not running like he was earlier.
Labonte's still a top 10 car. He's 7th. Chad Little moves up to 6th. David Green is the leader. Mike Wallace in 2nd, who's been strong all day. Ricky Craven in 3rd. Dennis Setzer is 4th. Kenny Wallace is 5th. And Chad Little is the 6th place car. 3rd in the points, 76 points out of 1st. Chad, what would it mean to you to win this Busch Grand National Championship?
I'd just be on top of the world. I'd be so excited. I'd be happy for the guys on the team, Mike Agee building the motors, our sponsors, Greg Pollock to put the team together. I mean, it'd be a real nice situation for everybody, because I think the way the year started out and then the wreck at Charlotte, we didn't anticipate being in this good a spot come down to the last 2 races.
Moves underneath Phil Parsons to put Parsons' Luxair Chevy 1 lap down once again. He is the point leader, and trouble is developing on the 2nd place point car. Ricky Craven was 3rd in this race. He has now drifted back to 8th place, and Ricky Craven is well off the pace. There is Craven, just ahead of Elton Sawyer. He is steadily dropping positions. Glenn Jarrett's in his pit.
Here's the crew chief, John Martin. John, what is wrong with the car?
Well, we're not sure right now, to be honest with you. We thought at first we had a broken axle, and now it seems to be something maybe with the rear end gear. It seems to be fine at the moment. It comes and goes. It's not helping us any, I can tell you that.
Well, that is the worst feeling in the world, to have something wrong and not be able to identify it. They're just at a loss, guys.
Well, Mike, I noticed he went down like he dropped 15 spots or better, and then all of a sudden he found a wider line through the corner, and he's running pretty well now. He's racing Elton Sawyer pretty hard right now, and the car seems to be pretty fast. I don't know why he dropped back.
Well, Buddy, right now, if he's up in the high part of the racetrack, trouble in turn 2. Johnny Benson gets together with Tracy Leslie, and the caution is out. Benson challenging for Rookie of the Year in the Base Motorsports car, and Tracy Leslie in the number 72 Detroit gasket machine bring out the 6th caution flag of the day. Johnny Benson will be back with Bill Bumgarner and that team next year. Lipton Tea will sponsor the number 74 next season. Now, I was starting to say, if Craven is running that high, then there's not such a differential between the left rear and the right rear. Could that indicate something in the rear end, that when he's down pinching the car at the bottom of the racetrack, it doesn't work, but when he runs up high, it works a little better?
Boy, it's hard to say. It could be so many things. You know, it could be a ratchet in the rear or whatever. I mean, the car just seemed to pick up speed again when he started changing his line through the corner, which normally means it's not handling right.
If they're doing that, it probably is the ratchet. So, because the ratchet wheel sometimes it'll break loose and not work, and then again it gets hot and slip together, and sometimes it will work.
Well, let's find out. I'm sure they'll put the rear end of that car in the air when Ricky Craven brings it to a halt. Glenn's right there.
And he brings it to a halt. And I have to agree with what David Pearson says. I have a suspicion that it may be the ratchet too. They're going to the right side of the car now. That's what they're checking to see if the right rear tire will turn with the left rear tire down. When the rear end free wheels like that, it's awfully hard to drive the car. You can't turn it down. That's one reason he may have taken that higher line. Now they're saying hold up. They still don't know what's wrong with it. They're still checking the rear end. I can't see on the other side of the car, so I'm just guessing the way you guys are. In fact, you guys can see from the outside.
It's turning, Glenn. It's not real free, but it is turning.
It turned one time, then it quit, and it locked.
So
then
it's locking
then it turned it again. Yeah. So I believe it is the rear end.
Tough break for number 2 point man Ricky Craven. We'll take a break from Martinsville Speedway and be right back. Leslie's car caught fire up in turn number 2 underneath the hood. They've had to put that out, and then they hook up and tow him away. Today's copyrighted telecast of the Advanced Auto Parts 500 is authorized under broadcast rights granted by Martinsville Speedway and intended for the private use of our audience. Any retransmission or reuse of the pictures, account, or description of this event without the express written consent of Nashville Network is prohibited. Glenn?
Well, let's check with John Munson. John, we suspicion it may be been a ratchet spring or locker spring in the rear end that messed up. Now that you've had a chance to look at it, do you know any more?
Glenn, I think that's exactly what it was. The thing is, it seems to have locked back up, so maybe we've gotten a lucky break here or whatever. It seems to be okay now. We'll have to go as far as we can.
Well, all they can do is ride it out now, but sometimes that thing will hang up. If that spring gets hung up, it catches like that. It won't allow the rear end to lock in the corners, and he says it just seems to have freed up, so it seems okay now.
So the caution flag, perhaps a lucky break for Ricky Craven. They were able to check out the problem and determine it wasn't any more serious than what they thought. Ricky Craven has drifted well back, and instead of being 56 points back, he'd be 115 points back based on where he's running right now. We'll be right back.
The Advanced Auto Parts 500 on TNN is brought to you by AC Delco. It's like buying time.
Not too far away from a restart here. Johnny Benson has been on pit road, and Hermie Sadler is in. Next week we go to Rockingham, and it's double-header NASCAR racing Saturday. The AC Delco 200, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Tickets are available for both Saturday and Sunday at the Rock. That's the final Busch race of the season, and you'll see the AC Delco 500 Winston Cup race right here on the Nashville Network at 12:30. See if Dale Earnhardt can clinch that championship, or if Rusty Wallace can eat into his point lead. 3 races to go. 1 lap, we'll go back to green. David Green up front. We've had 6 yellows for 52 laps. Yesterday, the Busch North Series had its final event of the season, crowned Dale Shaw as champion. Road race specialist Butch Leisinger drove to the victory. Tom Rosati picked up the second spot. Andy Santerre and Mike and Harry Gricci's car was third. Bobby Dragon fourth. And the new series champ, Dale Shaw, finished fifth. Complete race details on race day, live tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on TNN. Let's get back to Green with David Green up front and 90 laps to go here at the Martinsville Speedway. Big trouble for Chris Diamond. A plume of smoke as he goes into turn number 1. And Kenny Wallace slowed way up down between 1 and 2. For the moment, we're staying green. Everybody gets past Diamond, but caution is out. Diamond may have dumped some fluid down there in turn number 1. We'll see.
I started to say David Green better stand on it because all those cars are coming in there. He backed off just because he got the caution.
Watch that purple car on the left side of your screen. Boom, right in Johnny Benson's face. It went.
I think that was a decal he knocked off the back of Chris Diamond's car there. I seen a little piece of paper fly. That's all back there is a little bit of, well, no, there's a little damage there, too.
Right. And Kenny Wallace was way up and out of the groove, as if, as you said earlier, he hadn't got his tires cleaned off. He was way up to the high side. So the J&L Motors number 68, the Pontiac, ends up in a pile. And Kenny Wallace got back to the flag ahead of his brother Mike and moved up to second spot unofficially. And we'll see how the scorers sort that one out.
See, Kenny thinks he's right. He's moved up ahead of his brother there.
So caution is out again. Let's sneak in a little commercial here. Lap 213, 87 laps to go at the Martinsville Speedway.